Hey, what's up guys? So I'm here on Melrose Avenue and I just wanted to show you guys how to do some poses for pictures. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you're posing, you want to make sure that what you're doing is creating a shape with your body. A lot of times guys tend to get stiff and they just tend to stand straight, or they don't think about creating shapes, interesting shapes with their bodies. So it's very key to create interesting shapes with your bodies. That way the photographer gets inspired by what you're doing and the pictures turn out to be great. Another thing to keep in mind is that you also want to play with the clothing that you're wearing. You want to show off some of the main features of the clothing. So what you can do to help you create interesting shapes with your bodies is, first of all, you start off with your feet. Rather than having both toes pointing towards the camera, what you want to do is maybe have one pointing towards the side, lift up the heel a little bit, create some variations and some different leveling with both of your feet. Another thing that you could do is to maybe even cross them, or another thing that you could do actually is to put one to the side and lift up the heel. Next, with your hip area, I know it's very awkward for guys to flex their hips because guys tend to be very stiff in the hips. What you want to do is that you want to relax your hips as much as possible. So just kind of switch balance back and forth between one hip to the other. Another thing that you could do with your hands is, rather than having your hands straight to the side or having them crossed, you want to have variations as well. So you could have, you can create interesting shapes with your elbows. So for instance, if you stick out an elbow like this, that's already an interesting shape that could really inspire the photographer, rather than just having it straight down to the side. You could also maybe even lift up your hand and put it behind your head. Again, you're having your elbows pointed out, and that's creating an interesting shape. And this also creates some kind of visual interest for the photographer and the viewer of the photo. And then another thing that you could do with your hands, if you run out of ideas, you can actually just start fiddling with the clothing that you're wearing. So you can have a pose like that, you can have something like this, you can play with the buttons and notice that my elbows are sticking out. And another thing that I like to do, especially when I'm kind of like getting towards that burnout phase and I'm running out of ideas, you just start stretching. When you start stretching, you could actually accidentally find yourself into another pose. Try to keep moving around. Don't ever stay stiff. Just keep flowing, even though it feels awkward. You would eventually find a couple of poses that works great for you. So now with the face, because a lot of times we pose with our bodies, but we don't really think about the face, you have to change your face up as much as possible. So make sure that you're standing in front of the mirror and make sure you do a lot of practice shots, because working on the face is very important. So as a guy, what you could do is, something that Tyra Banks says a lot, is to practice smizing. So by smizing, I mean just kind of like keeping your face straight, but just thinking about a happy thought and then just arching the eyebrows a little bit. Another thing that you could do is to clench your jaws so that your bone structure in your face really shows up in the image, and that way you look really strong and masculine. Another tip for smizing is to actually smile, but then drop the smile just right before the picture is taken. And then of course you can actually really smile, because a lot of times guys have great smiles but they are not comfortable showing it. So it really helps build some emotion behind the picture and tells a story. And finally, another tip for your face is to always cheat your face towards the main source of light. So in this case, I'm outdoors and I believe the sun is right behind me, so there's no really source of light. But if a photographer had a flash coming from this direction, what I would do is I would cheat my face towards the flash. So that way my face is hitting the light and I'm evenly lit, and the light can fall on my face and fall off my cheekbones, which will make my face look really structured and chiseled. So guys, there you have it. As always, if you have questions, just hit me up in the comments below and I'll answer all of your questions. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.